All right, I think we're ready to get started here, just a couple of minutes late. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. We have no commissioners absent this evening. First up, citizen communication. The Planning and Zoning Commission welcomes comment on items relevant to the commission not already scheduled on tonight's agenda. In accordance with the Texas Attorney General's opinion, any public comment that is made on an item that's not on the published agenda will only be heard by the commission. No formal action, discussion, deliberation, or comment will be made by the commission. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes and will be asked to state his or her name and address for the public record. Is there anyone wishing to address the commission this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to item 3, the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the commission and will be enacted in one motion. The items include preliminary and final plats where staff has found compliance with all minimum subdivision regulations. All items approved by consent are approved with any and all staff recommendations. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If any commissioner desires to discuss an item on the consent agenda, it will be moved to the regular agenda for further consideration. Are there any items the commission wishes to remove from the consent agenda? All right, let me roll through them here real quick. So we have 3A, approving a final plat for Walton Pass subdivision. We have approving a preliminary plan for Finnick Place, approving a final plat for Finnick Place separate tract, approving the 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting schedule. And those are all the items on the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, public hearing. The commission welcomes comment on the following items. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes and will be asked to state his or her name and address for the public record. Item 4A, conducting a public hearing to approve an application for replat of the park at Blackhawk.
Good evening, everyone. So what we have here is the Park at Blackhawk, number 4, Phase 1. This is a replat of Lot 1, which is part of Block K. It's a 6.237 acre piece of property on the intersection of Roe Lane and Carey's Ranch Road. This was initially one property, and this is going to be cut into 2. So originally we had 6.2 acres. We are going to have 5.4. Which is the larger portion along Roe Lane that is going to be reserved for an amenity center, and then the remaining 0.815 acres is in the southeast corner, and that will be used for commercial purposes. The requested replat meets the state and local requirements. Staff recommends approval, and staff did notify which is required by state. That is all the presentation I have, and I can answer any questions that you might have.
What kind of commercial purposes? Do we know?
I don't know what the actual tenant is going to be just yet.
So it's essentially the change is making the park reserved area a little bit smaller and then opening up that corner for commercial development?
The commercial is reserved for that bottom corner, yeah.
Okay.
I believe we're just to the east of that small pond, for those who aren't too familiar with the area.
Is there anyone in the public wishing to address this item? All right, seeing as none, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right, public hearing is closed. Any other comments or questions on this item?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? All right, thank you very much. Motion passes. All right, item 4B. Got another public hearing to replat Concordia High School Lot 1.
Righty, good evening, Chair and Commission. Tonight it's Lot 1, Block A of Concordia High School replat. It is platted currently as a 42.713 acre tract, zoned PUD, or Planned Unit District. The proposal is to divide this into 2 lots. Lot 1 will have the existing multifamily development and all of the amenities that go with that, and then Lot 2 is the newly created lot that will include the drainage easement for Lot 1, as well as everything south of the floodplain on that property. It's located on the west side of South Heatherwild Boulevard, just north of East Wells Branch Parkway. It meets state and local requirements, and it's recommended for approval by staff.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? All right, I'll consider a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Public hearing is closed. Any comments or questions on this item?
Was there a reason why they needed to split it?
So originally it was going to be developed all by the same developer. There is a want to market it as a separate lot to a new developer at this time.
What's the zoning? of it?
It's a planned unit, it's part of the Wells Point Alternative Land Use Regulation, which is now known as a planned unit district in the, under the current UDC.
It looks like multifamily is built on the north piece, already
Correct.
developed and done, right?
Correct.
And so then the second is just undeveloped.
Correct.
So is it taking away area that was previously reserved for like schools, or is that not part of it?
No, it's owned by one developer who wanted to put multifamily to the north and to the south on this tract. They developed out the northern portion of it. In creating this new lot, they won't be creating any nonconformities. They've already dedicated their parkland or fee in lieu. They've paid their parkland dedication for that development, and now they want to create the new lot to the south for possible development by a new person or just to hold in for the future.
So it's not currently a school then.
No.
Oh, okay. I mean, I was confused by the name.
This land was
Okay.
originally purchased and platted by Concordia High School.
Oh, okay.
They have since moved in across the street into an industrial warehouse that they've redeveloped.
Okay, gotcha.
Any other questions? All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion approved is drafted.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, next item on the agenda, we have a discussion item 6A related to the Youth Advisory Council.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight we invited our Youth Advisory Council to join you all to see the work that you all do for the city. And so place this item so that you could share, and you see our Youth Advisory Council members right here on the left of the audience, so that you could share some of your experience in being a planning and zoning commissioner with them. Trista Evans, our city secretary, leads this group. They're made up of high school students from the high schools around Pflugerville, and so are taking the time throughout the year from their schedules to learn more about local government. So it's just an opportunity for you all to share with them your experience as a planning and zoning commissioner.
Well, first of all, thank you all for being here and trying to work on being more active in the community and local government. I think it's not a lot of, oh yeah, thank you. There we go. So I would commend you all for participating and being interested enough to participate in the program. I've heard some about it, and it's very exciting, and hopefully you all have learned a lot and sparked some interest in continuing to be involved.
I encourage you all to learn Robert's Rules of Order. I know that's kind of silly, but one of the things that you've observed here is, basic execution of Robert's Rules of Order. It's shocking. Truthfully, I've been out of high school for some 20 years, and it's really shocking how often it's used to conduct business in a meeting, any kind of meeting, student council meeting, college meeting, city meeting, state meetings. It's so common, and participating in this process is one step ahead of every single one of your peers here, and it just compounds. So leadership like this, an opportunity to take advantage of engaging with other people, is hugely beneficial, and you won't know how beneficial until 20 some odd years later, right? So thank you all for being here.
You're not that old.
Yeah, I'll just say I'm I'm happy to do this for the city, and I honestly didn't even know that there were opportunities like this that existed. I mean, I think most of us, have full-time jobs or do other things outside of this, and just come here a couple hours a month. So it's a very good way. It's not a huge amount of time, but it really feels like kind of participate at a different level, kind of what's going on. You kind of have a hand in how the city develops and what it does. So it's been really rewarding for me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really neat things that we get to work on the commission. At the just seeing the name, you may not realize everything that goes into it, and certainly all have seen presentations from the staff as well of how well organized they get everything put together. And I think we all have the opportunity, and I think take the role pretty seriously in making sure that the city's rules and regulations as it relates to building new and hopefully very exciting things across the city are done in a way that's fair and equitable and follows the spirit of the laws and regulations in town. So I think that's great. I think it's really it's also pretty fun to see what's coming. We get a little bit of a preview in here, right? These are all public meetings, but we certainly get to see those and help to shape how some of these new businesses and homes and neighborhoods are being crafted. I think the other thing that a lot of us put quite a bit of time into is the capital improvement project. So you saw the update tonight. So this is a pretty active committee in terms of reviewing the hundreds of potential projects that the city could take on in any given year, and we look at that every year going 5 years out of all of the roads, streets, sewers, parks, everything in between of what is going to go on in the city. These are big projects that take a lot of time, and I know the commissioners take it pretty seriously in reviewing those and helping to prioritize and figure out where to hopefully very smartly invest the city's dollars.
I do agree. Learning Robert's Rules of Order is actually pretty handy. Boards, you forgot boards. Boards of directors of places you work.
Yeah.
Boards like this, we're a commission, but boards of directors at nonprofits, which is another way that you can learn Robert's Rules of Order. There are probably some nonprofits out there you could serve on the board for. I learned Robert's Rules of Order when I was 9 in 4-H club, so
That's
you can do it
pretty
that way
young.
too. Yeah. I think that it's fantastic that y'all are doing this. I have a son in a Pflugerville high school who is not participating, and every time I come to this, he says, "Oh, you're going to your boring thing," which it is not, I don't think, but everything that you all saw us run through tonight really pretty quickly is years in the making, and it's really a couple of hours a month for us, but you get to see over the course of months and months in a 2-year term all of the things that are going on in the city. And so at this point, I'm going to guess y'all have the same experience I do, which is all my neighbors know I'm on this commission. So they're like, what's going on this street? What's going on that street? When are they going to fix the thing? And I usually know, off the top of my head. And I wouldn't just from coming as a member of the public, because it's really easy to not come to a meeting you don't have to, that you haven't committed to publicly. Also, I want to reiterate let you guys know that you are a little bit spoiled that you're growing up in Pflugerville, because we have amazing city staff. It isn't like this everywhere. So take every opportunity you can to learn from the city staff here, because they are phenomenal. They are a high caliber, highly educated, highly dedicated, highly mission focused, highly effective team, and we're really lucky to live in this city. I moved here in 2011 and immediately was like, wow, the parks and the library are functioning really well here. This is fantastic. And then there was one other thing that I was going to tell you guys, and I forgot, so why don't y'all take your turn and then I'll remember it.
I didn't know it was turned in.
Well, I'm nearing the end of my 2-year term, and I'm not going to re-up just because of family situations going on in my life. But what I learned about being on planning and zoning is this is really all about managing the change of life. Pflugerville is changing. When I moved here only 10 years ago, I would wave at the cows on my way to the gym. You know, I would ride my bicycle and go, cornfields, cows. And we have farmers and agricultural folks that are selling their property to developers. There are family members of our community that are very unhappy about that. They want things to remain the same. Well, Pflugerville can't possibly remain the same. Nothing in life is going to remain the same. You're not going to remain the same. I haven't remained the same in my 70 plus years. So planning and zoning to me is about an organized way to deal with public opinion about how these changes happen. And again, we've got incredible staff, and I really, really applaud you. I'm just almost tearful. I just really, really applaud you. But I want to applaud these young people too, because one thing I've learned in my life is that the world is run by those that show up, and you are showing up. And we have shown up as a commission as volunteers. And I'm really appreciative of you and the energy that you're going to bring to whatever future you see for yourself. And I'm just very happy. And I'm also happy that you're here on the eve of an election, because I think it's very important for us all to realize the most important government is local government. And the fact that we have such a great staff is because we have such great city council members who we vote into office. So if you like the staff, applaud our city council member who hired the city manager, who hired Emily, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, vote. It's very important.
So I'm very new to PNZ, but not new to like city councils. So I started in June, so I don't have much to tell you other than, honestly, today was kind of boring. I wish you were here like 2 weeks ago. Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. This one was a whole bunch of yeses, which means like you were like, oh my God, they did nothing except yes, everything on the agenda. But I'm really excited that you guys are here, honestly, because that's amazing. Like, you're the it. So it's very exciting to see kids here.
It is.
It really is. I mean, yes, tomorrow is voting, and yes, actually, your local government is where you should be voting. You should find out everything there is to know about what's happening here, because you'll be graduating in 2 years. You'll be 18 in at least 3 years. This is when you guys can like start really voting and focusing and understanding. So I don't know how long.
They're
But
ahead of me at that age.
yeah, exactly. So there's just so much to learn. But you also could watch Mondays, and you can watch on TV. You don't have to come here every Monday or every first Monday. You can watch it on TV.
Or YouTube.
Yeah. So yeah.
So I'd like to add on to that. It's a really interesting point, and I was going to mention it earlier, talking about the projects. So this is absolutely abstract, but Pflugerville right now has about $2 billion of capital improvement projects going over the next 5 years. So if you saw on the slides from like water, wastewater, transportation, they have the timeline at the bottom. It shows, design phase 2022, and then, bidding phase 2023. Construction started 2024, won't be done until 2027, right? Like, it takes such a long range planning to get things like this done. And the reason I bring that up is because nothing happens quickly in construction, especially when like planning for things to happen. So I'm sure your friends or so-and-so has said, oh, this road will never be done. Or, oh my gosh, when are they going to do this thing? When are we going to have X? Why isn't it made it to Pflugerville yet? Well, it's because it takes literally like a decade to execute some of these projects. And so what's really fascinating, being in y'all's shoes, is that by the time you graduate high school, and if you go off and start your college career somewhere, or if you go start your work career, if you come back, if you disappear today and come back in 6 years, it's going to look totally different. Like, we'll have spent so much of the public's funds, who by the way, the voting they were talking about voting, the citizens vote for bond elections, things like that. And so what's been really fascinating to observe in this commission is the work that the city staff has done in educating the public on what it is that the needs are of the city, so that the citizens can go out and then vote for a bond, a $300 million bond for water and wastewater. Well, why do we have to vote for that? Well, because there's more people here now, and they need to use the restroom, and they need to drink water, and we can't just build these things without the citizens approving those things so that we can pay for them, right? So, like, sitting on this commission has been eye-opening, but also for you guys, just as you grow and as you go through life, hopefully you continue to participate in this, just because for me it's given me so much patience, like in perspective for how long it takes to build a mile of road. Like, it takes a long time, and the considerations that go into planning a project like that. One of the things that Traffic was mentioning was we're trying to build 685 strategically so that once we start construction, we don't start construction on these other things that cause additional delays, right? So it's a really, really great way to reset kind of where you fit into the big puzzle. And just keep that in mind.
That
Thank
reminds
you.
me of the thing I forgot. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I appreciate you. So Texas too, one of the things I did actually go to grad school for public policy, which a lot of our city staff did as well, although I don't work in this arena at all professionally. I work in public health. And so while I have the same degree, I have a completely different career path and a completely different expertise, and I am not an expert in the things that they are talking to us about. But I went to grad school on the East Coast, where they do not have open rules or open meetings rules. And so the city of Baltimore, where I went to grad school, was falling down around me. And there was I remember one example in particular. There was a church, there was a cathedral that had burned down 3 years before I moved to Baltimore, and it was still standing the way it was the day it burned. Like, they hadn't cleaned anything. It was terrible, and I couldn't buy a pair of socks inside the city of Baltimore because there was no place to buy a pair of socks. I think they got a Target. It opened while I was there, and part of the reason that Baltimore is so miserable is because they don't have open planning and zoning. Businesses have to go fight for zoning changes in these closed door sessions at multiple committees, and they have not. When I was there in 2007. They had not updated their zoning since the 70s. And there were, as a result, no grocery stores in the city. It's a big deal, planning and zoning. And we're really lucky in Texas that this is a very open, transparent public process. And we're very lucky in Pflugerville that we have a city staff and a city manager and directors that created a publicly drafted strategic plan. So the Aspire 2040 is that was not in place when some of us started on planning and zoning, and it was kind of difficult to make decisions as a commission because people would come and be like, a farmer is selling their land to a developer and they want to develop it, but the neighbors want it to still be a pasture. And so it was really difficult to weigh these two property owners' arguments, but we now have a plan that the entire city has had the opportunity to put public comment in, and the amount of public comment that went into it is really impressive, and the amount of thought that went behind it. And so as this commission, we are supported. We can say we are approving this because it's in alignment with the strategic vision that the voters and the residents of the city put their thought into, which is really nice. So this really is an amazing city to live in. We are really lucky.
So I'll turn it to our Youth Advisory Council if y'all have any questions you want to ask the commissioners. You're good? Okay.
All right. Thank you all.
you.
Appreciate it. And we are adjourned at 7:26.